So let's talk about something that's happening to all of us. We're looking at how AI is quietly becoming this new companion during our absolute worst moments. We're diving into a new paper that explores AI's role when a huge crisis hits, and we're asking a pretty tough question. Is it helping, or is it actually making things a whole lot worse? I mean, think about it for a second. When some huge, shocking event goes down, a terror attack, a natural disaster, you name it, what's your reflex? For years, it was turning on the TV, then refreshing news websites, then doom scrolling through social media. But now, well, now there's a new player in the game. That's right. Millions of us are now, almost without thinking, opening a chatbot. And we're not just asking for a summary of the facts. We're trying to make sense of the chaos. We're asking these deeply human, deeply emotional questions to a machine. And just like that, AI is now right at the center of how we process these massive shared tragedies. And that puts AI directly into what researchers call the trauma zone. This is where the real problem starts because, these systems, they just weren't built for this. They have no baked-in awareness of the intense psychological pressure cooker that is a moment of collective distress. So what even is collective trauma? It's not just a bunch of people feeling individually sad or scared at the same time. The paper we're looking at defines it as something much bigger. It's a shared blow that can actually change a society's entire sense of safety, who we trust, and even who we think we are. And it's all shaped by the media we're consuming in that moment. And look, this isn't just a theory. The data on this is crystal clear. Decades of research have shown that being glued to the media during these events, seeing those graphic images on a loop, is directly linked to serious mental health problems. And that's even for people who are thousands of miles away from the actual event. It literally makes us more stressed, more anxious, and, in the end, way more divided. Okay, and here is the absolute key to all of this. AI lives in that exact same chaotic media environment. It's trained on it, and it delivers information right back into it. But the safety features that are built into these AI, they have a massive critical blind spot. They have no idea when the entire world is going through a collective trauma. You can see the huge gap right here. Current AI safety is built for a totally normal day. It's looking at one user, one query at a time. It applies the same rigid rules on a quiet Tuesday afternoon as it does in the hours after a national tragedy. But the paper argues for a completely different approach, one that is aware of the collective context, an AI that understands that some days are just not like others. And that brings us to the big idea, the core solution that the paper proposes. It's a framework for what they call peak-aware AI. It's a totally new way of thinking about AI safety, designed specifically for these high-stress, high-stakes moments. It's really built on two simple but super powerful principles. First, it's trauma-informed. That basically means it's designed with one primary goal. Don't make things worse for people who are already hurting. And second, it's peak-aware. It has a way to actually know when a peak, a moment of intense society-wide crisis, is happening. Probably the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think of it like an emergency mode on your phone, right? Most of the time, the AI just does its thing. But when it detects a peak of collective distress by analyzing news and social media signals, it could actually shift its behavior, become more cautious, less sensational, and way more focused on reducing harm. So let's check out what might be its most critical use case. Acting as a kind of information firebreak when language is literally being weaponized to hurt people. This is where the concept goes from just being interesting to being, frankly, potentially life-saving. The paper zooms in on this really nasty threat called stochastic terrorism. This isn't someone giving a direct order to commit violence. No, it's much more insidious. It's about publicly creating hit lists of people, journalists, doctors, election officials, and then using dehumanizing language over and over again until it becomes statistically likely that some lone wolf somewhere will be inspired to act violently. So let's run a quick scenario. In the middle of a heated crisis, a hateful hit list starts making the rounds online. Then, someone goes to an AI and asks for that list. How should the AI respond? This is a really important test. And this right here shows the night and day difference. A standard AI today, it might refuse, or it might just neutrally summarize the information or even give you some of the details, which effectively amplifies the danger. But a peak-aware AI, it does the complete opposite. It flat out refuses to reproduce the list. It explicitly calls the material what it is, abusive propaganda.
It acts as a firebreak, stopping that weaponized hate from spreading.
So, the really crucial thing to get here is that this isn't just about some clever technical fix. This is about a fundamental shift in how we think about the responsibility of our digital tools and the role they play in our collective well being when we're at our most vulnerable. Of course, actually building this stuff is insanely complex. It opens up some massive ethical cans of worms. Like, how do you decide what actually counts as a peak? Who makes that call? And how do you make sure the system is transparent so it doesn't just become a sneaky tool for censorship or just another way for us to outsource our own critical thinking? At the end of the day, the big takeaway isn't that a peak-aware AI can somehow fix our collective traumas. It can't. The goal is much more modest and honestly much more important. It's for the tools we're all turning to in our darkest hours to just adopt a basic principle of do no harm, to simply stop being an active part of the problem. Which really leaves us with one final big question to chew on. As these systems get woven deeper and deeper into the fabric of our lives, is it enough for them to just be intelligent? Or do we need to start demanding that they also be built with a deep, situational, and, dare I say, humane sense of responsibility?